Okay, folks, the sound of me turning on the recording light. So yeah, wave at the camera. Welcome everyone on the meeting and watching the recording in the future to the July 9th Albemarle County Electoral Board meeting. We have a quorum here, so we're ready to get started. I'd ask my colleagues to take a look at the final agenda or the agenda and see if we can approve it. I note one item on the agenda that is a mistake in item number 5. It says approve the minutes of the 6/10/2026 meeting. And of course, we had a meeting on 6/11, not 6/10. So that's a mistake. Any other changes to the agenda?
No.
All right. We'll take this agenda as approved. Brief announcements from the board and registrar. Board members.
Nothing for me.
Registrar. Get that from you guys. All right. Well, then we'll go to the public comment portion of our call. Anyone in the room or on Zoom has something they'd like to say? I see Rick Garnett. Yes, sir.
Just two quick questions, and you might answer them later, but I want to make sure them in. When will the precinct chiefs be notified of their rosters?
I'll turn to the registrar.
It'll be later today. We have a meeting where we will, the rosters have to be approved, and then once approved, we'll send them out.
Okay, great. And then the other one is, since it's summertime, have the schools been notified to be prepared for Monday and Tuesday? And do we have the names of who we might contact if it's summertime?
Yes, they've been contacted about Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because we pick up on Wednesday. And if you need to talk to me afterwards, I can get it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Historically, it's usually the same folks that you talk to in the summertime as during the year. So if you're having a hard time finding somebody, please let the registrar know.
Okay, because last year at Biscuit Run, there was a complete turnover like the week before we got there.
Well,
No one knew what was going
convenient.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
On because I was waiting for a call to my doctor's office.
Okay. Seeing no other hands. Oh, you had your hand up. I thought you were
No, I
stretching
didn't.
your hand.
I'm gonna ask.
Go ahead.
Is this for staff? Registrar staff?
That's an occurring question. We're very close to making an offer to two people. Process.
Would that round out your open hires for regular full-time staff? Anything? All right. Go to approving the minutes, but our secretary is out of the room. So perhaps we could move on to just to the accounting. You and I had talked aside about the ability to get the kinds of report that you'd like to get. You just don't know what's going on.
That we're in. So those particular reports are not available to us right now, the way that we want them. I spoke to my budget analyst and she said that that they want better reports coming out of the financial system, but it's not possible right now. I asked her about the time frame, about when they would be able to get the kind of reports that all of us are looking for. She said about 6 months. So in the meantime, what we have to do is piece together the snapshots, basically the snapshots of what we're looking for on a weekly.
We're not today
No.
to look over. You're going to send that to us.
Yes, I send that to you. Yes, but I haven't. I would just say the high points you'll see. There's not much change in what you do. The biggest change is in
Sorry about that. They were just need to come in. So
The biggest change is in furniture and equipment because we're reorganizing the office to have better use of our office space. We'll do the same thing for the warehouse. So that's where you're gonna see the biggest jumps.
is that response to a question?
we slid on, we slipped over, approved the minutes and went on to the first whole business item. You had sent out after the last meeting, sent out a note about how much money we'd gotten back from the state in reimbursement.
Yes, it just was. 154,000 plus.
I thought it was 70,000. I saw a figure of 70,000.
You know, let me just look it up. I'm sorry, that's the number. Commit to memory.
Anyway, it was more money than I thought we would get.
Me too.
That was the net of what my takeaway is. Yes, Dr. Wheeler.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to compliment, if that's if 150 something,
Go down that.
I'm not, if it's close to that, I'd like to be the person giving the big shout out
That's why I'm bringing it up.
because the city of Suffolk that also has 30 precincts, roughly the same, had 200, it's either 38 or 58. I think 258,000.
Expenses or reimbursement?
That's about what we had in
We had
expenses.
240,000.
Yeah, 240,000 just around there in expenses. And so, but we turned in, now that I'm speaking about this, I think Jim is correct. We turned in 54,000. We didn't turn in the full amount because we could not fully document the full amount. So we only requested the amount that we could fully document and successfully survive an audit. So, and then I think we got about half of that. I think Jim's right, but I'll give you the number. So I think Jim's right. The number was about 74,000. I think I remember it was about
I
that.
think it was more than that. While you're looking at that, let's go back to the minutes. Any substantive feedback on the draft minutes from 6/11 or
I don't see them.
I don't know. Seen it before when you sent it around and you
Right.
looked at it.
We need an actual physical copy in order to.
Were they in the packet?
Nope.
Now, or we need to put that separately, or would it be in the components?
Past Alex produced them to, I thought at the last meeting, I thought that Richard had.
Right.
Okay, so
I thought these you would only send them to us. I didn't think you'd sent them to anyone.
No, I assumed it'd be 3.
You want 3 of those, but also,
I can get those.
yeah.
All right, we'll wait on that until we get those copies. The next item we have is going to be really quick. Jim, you had a chance to okay. Moving on to schedule for the primary elections planning. I think Janelle's already told us that they reached out to the facilities, polling places.
And I asked, Nat, did you, because there's 2 that are always kind of a little funky and different, and that being Slaughter Rec Center. Were you able to talk to a person at Slaughter Rec Center?
Yes, Richard
Sure.
did call him. So yes, the only one that he hasn't been able to hold of as of yesterday was Keswick. But all the other ones, he sent an email, we were talking to them, should be at some time. But everybody else we spoke, including
K-Tech is the other odd one, because K-Tech is a city school.
his.
Did you hear that, Louis?
No. We were talking about Kedway. We haven't heard back from them in terms of being available for the election.
Karen didn't respond to you?
Talking about the church.
Oh, okay.
Do I need to contact Passway?
We just need to make sure that they're aware and on board.
I'll send them
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
all four, correct?
Yes. November 3rd.
Yes, great.
When you send out the roster, it would be helpful if in that note you put in the contact information for the location. So we don't have to individually contact Janelle. You just put it on the, when you send out the roster, just say for that location, who is the contact person in that phone number.
Okay. Many places the chiefs have that already, but it's a summertime, so not all the regular chiefs are the regular chiefs for this election. So sending it out, make sure everyone has a copy of it. And it's only going to the chiefs and assistant chiefs, so there's no harm in distributing the
There may have
information.
been changes, you may have different personnel, so.
Yes, there are a few chiefs and assistant chiefs who aren't available for this election, so we've had to shuffle cards. Um, Council on Elections Planning, do we have?
Quick, who should she respond to?
Richard, I'll give you this.
Okay, I got his information.
Great, thank you.
Anything else on planning for the election? I have one item under new business there, but we've got chief training next week,
Yes.
Thursday evening.
Time's that for that? It's at the Macintosh. Macintosh, I'm sorry. I have the Macintosh straight in my mind. Sorry. Yes.
Auditorium, 6
6
p.m.
p.m. Yeah, 6 p.m. That's the only time my clock knows to go to meetings too in the evening. So
The LIR.
anything else that we need to discuss about the? Okay.
Are you getting the minutes?
Yes, right, yes.
Come back to that when we have paper copies. Next item is on the half-day shifts topic. I had reached out to the Republican and Democratic sides of the aisle just to get feedback, as these folks are not only under the law responsible for providing us lists of EOs, to get their input on the idea. And the is, I'll summarize very briefly. Don't really know until you reach out. The suspicion is, yes, there might be more people available working half days, and it might be well considered to run that on a trial basis before we float it everywhere. So no change in that, and we're not going to make any change right now until we finish getting staffed up. But I want to give that input on the topic. That's all. Big action there. All right.
Speaking of reaching out, I am told that the Democratic Party chair has resigned. And I do not know whether there is yet a replacement or not.
Didn't say you're supposed to vote. Either they have voted or they will vote next week on a new chair.
Well, that's very much our business to know who to notify for various things we have to notify the party chair for. So, and who should be signing, things, not this election, but the next election.
And to notify about logic and accuracy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't imagine I'll see that in the evening news. Anything else under old business? Move on. New business, board member Roots, where we're going to go on election day. I sent a provided to you guys just a minute ago copy of this. Last time, let's see here, I think I was doing Route 1, which I would like to do again. And
I did Route 2.
you had Route 2 and Valerie had Route 3. I'm going to stay with where we were.
You go.
And of course, then go wherever the heck else you want to go to. But let's make sure everybody gets at least one visit during the day. Okay. Um, I'm proposing that we add an electoral board meeting as we did for the last election to convene immediately after we finish receiving materials for the election on the 4th, August 4th. So probably in the 9:30 range at night. And the sole purpose of that is to do an inventory of the provisional envelopes that we have received by precinct so that we can, once we have taken that inventory, deliver those envelopes to the registrar so that the staff in the office can begin processing those in the morning. Not probably going to be really up against the deadline for this election like we will be in November or like we were in April. But it seems like the right practice to deliver that material to the registrar's office. I don't want to do that until we've inventoried it, so we know if that's acceptable.
Yes.
I didn't think it would work well, but it worked well.
And that meeting, again, not going to be an issue for this election, but not be for any longer than an hour because it's a long day. And whatever we get done in an hour's time is what we give to the registrar. And if we need to do more the next day, we just do that the next day. But that way, the registrar's office has plenty of material to work on first thing in the morning. And then obviously we have the provisional ballot meeting and the canvas that will run from August 5th all the way up until 5 p.m. on the 14th. Note that the
14th being
Friday weekend. General Assembly having extended our time 10 days after the election as opposed to for everything now.
for everything now.
Didn't really extend our time so much as took away the requirement that some law enforcement officer come get us if we hadn't sent it in by or Tuesday.
So in April, we were still under the
Well, for special elections that weren't in November.
but as of July, that law has changed so that all
Everything's 10 days.
10 days. Yeah, and just being cagey here, I really hope we don't need all of that time for discussion. I would be delighted to be reporting our results much sooner than that. Finalizing our results. The next item on the agenda is something I had distributed. It's in the packet with the agenda, and it's a proposed policy on the electoral board use of IT badges in polling places. The state, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that on election day we must wear this lovely state-issued ID that would be impossible for anyone to duplicate. Which I make fun of all of that, but the concept of having an ID badge on an electoral board member at a polling place makes good sense. I think historically we have always worn badges in polling places. Our officers of election are required to limit the people who come into polling places to only those authorized to be here. Board members are authorized to be here. Not all officers of election know who we are. We are legends in our own mind, but not necessarily in theirs. And so I would like to have a policy that whenever we're in a polling place, and that would include early voting too, that we're wearing an ID badge of some kind. And if we forgot to bring our ID badge, then we'll go to the registrar's office or to the chief and get them to make one for us that we can slap on and wear for that period of time that we were in.
I have a question, Andrea. Does the law require that we wear their ID badges?
Yes.
That we wear an ID badge.
No, their ID badge.
State issued ID badge. I put both of mine on the same, so on one side it's one badge, on one side it's the other badge. So, um, anyway, so I was proposing this as a policy for the board, that would be our expectation. My policy does not have a financial penalty if we do not. Um, State does, and the state's only applies on election day. This would apply during the 45 days of early voting too.
I noticed your policy. One reason I asked the question, it does not require us to wear the state ID.
It does not say that. We have a perfectly good county ID badge, which when we're in county facilities makes far more sense to me to be wearing. Plus, it says Bucky instead of William on the county ID badge.
But you're saying that when we are in a polling place, we must have on the state ID badge, even if we have on our.
Yes,
Yes.
On
that's my day.
election day. And that's not in my policy, that's in the code.
Okay. Making a motion.
I'm moving to approve this, so it's not my policy, so it'll be our policy.
I think,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Next item, register reporting. Electoral board. First off, Janelle, if you'd just like to acquaint us with the envelope B issue, and then I'll get to my point.
We started getting calls at the end of the envelope. So after the first two calls, it was the same precinct. So we started recording whoever called in the names and then sending out the envelopes to those folks. So it blossomed up to about right now it's at 20 people. There are gaps in there. We got the first 16 kind of steady. Then there was like 4 or 5 days gap, and then we got another 2, and then another. So what we decided to do, we did several things. So as people called in, we made sure that we sent them a the envelope. And we followed up with a call from them days later to make sure they got it. So of 20 people that called in for the envelope, 14 have gotten it, and there's 4 that we've sent messages to that they have responded to them. 14 have received their bill. So also what we did was what should have been done in the first place. We calculated the number of people who had not already voted, had not already called in for the envelope, and we sent those to the entire precinct. So for the Democratic primary and the Republican primary. So that was about 159 extra the envelopes that we sent out.
Presumably with some explanation of, hey, you may not have gotten this.
So that's how we resolved it. So now one other portion of that was the initial mitigation that we did. The ongoing mitigation is this. We still, if anybody calls in saying they haven't got the envelope, we send it to them immediately. If I get an envelope from it, I'm sorry, this was centered in the Pantops 507 precinct. That's where it is.
You haven't heard any from anyone else? You haven't heard any?
No, it's only been Pantops. So what we did was if I get if I get a ballot out with no envelope from Pantops, what we do, we've gotten one so far. We call the voter, we ask them for the information separately. They can email it to us, which is what we prefer because it's very quick. They can come in and bring it to us if they want to. One person called, the one that was cured. I got his ballot. I called him. He called me back the next day and said, "Oh, by the way, I got the B envelope." So what we had him do was just fill it out.
So he got it when you asked.
After, exactly. So what I had him do was to fill out the envelope, take a picture of it, send it to me. He emailed it to me. So we just took the photo, put it on his ballot.
Your process.
Absolutely. And so that's what we will do for anybody from Pine Tops that calls. Send the envelope if we get a ballot without the envelope from them. That's the process, the ongoing process. Because that was our error, and that's something that So we also have,
For anybody in the public that doesn't know what the envelope is, that's the one where they have to write their name, address, and sign it. And first four of the second.
yes, yes. In essence, that makes or breaks your ballot. We understand that. And so we've gone to great lengths to sort this out, gone to great lengths to respond to any voter. We had one of the voters that called in, she came in and she wanted the envelopes, we gave them like two. So we have our internal process, we've made 2 adjustments to our internal process to keep that from happening again. And that's
But those won't go through county. I'm sorry.
Clear, Bill?
I have, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I understand that you're treating this as if it's a cure because you're calling and you can cure on the phone for inaccurate or missing information. But a signature is material information. Can't cure a signature over the phone. Well, so technically, you've got a B envelope and you fill in, you're talking to voter A.
we actually can do that.
Well,
Because-
that's what I'm asking you. How have you
Out of the form. So I have a picture. When it had to be envelope, the signatures.
In the picture.
It's in the picture of the
sorry, I didn't hear that.
yes, and so it's signed. So yeah, we know all the information has to be there. So we're making sure that it does. We can't skip that process. The other question was, does it go through CAP? Everything goes through CAP. We're doing this before it goes through CAP. It happens to be part of the cure process. Absolutely. So
That's your question.
I have a question. Have you talked to anybody in Pantops who in the initial mailing did get the B envelope? Or do you think that all the ones going to Pantops lacked the B envelope? You think it was?
that's next. So what I have is the return envelope so far from Pentops. We have received 26 ballots from Pentops. 25 were and the envelope included. One did not, and that's the one that I cured.
So would those have been people who got the B envelopes after you did the second mailing, or did some come back with the B envelope before you did the second mailing?
No, this is the first mailing because of the timing that came in.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
So not everybody in Pantops
Missed
lacked
it,
the B
yeah.
envelope
correct.
in the initial mailing.
That's correct.
We
We
just don't
think
know who did.
yes, exactly. That's why we blanketed the rest.
And do we have any idea how this, it seems like it was human error. How did this happen? Was it just a system issue?
No, it was human error.
Yeah.
We know exactly.
Okay. All right.
So, one of my reasons for putting this on the agenda, not just to bring it out and discuss what had happened. We've had in the past problems where we sent the wrong ballots to folks several times in not too distant history. And what I wanted to do was, not as just an electoral board member, but as the electoral board, so I have your consent, I'd like the registrar to immediately notify the board whenever there's an inkling of a systemic problem, not to let us find out later from other people that was occurring. Because we will get questions, and if we say, no, there's no problem, then we're obviously not doing our job of monitoring the process. Is that agreeable?
Yes. Agreed.
Just, have you had any issues with people, absentee voters getting the wrong ballot?
Yeah, I didn't mean to suggest that was happening this time. It's just we have made some mistakes in the past, well documented, usually on the evening news. And I prefer not to find out the reporter calls what we think about that.
I don't think this would make the news.
No, I'd be surprised. Anything else on this topic? Okay. Another item attached to the information you have here is the process that we used the last election for processing provisional envelopes. to the April election. Of course, everything about that election was surprising to me, so I shouldn't say it was surprising. But afterwards, I enhanced the process we were using, enhanced in terms of how it was written up. Voted in this. See if we're all agreed that that's what we'll do for this election.
So without having read it, I.
Basically, it's doing what we did last time, just with more words around it. You have a question?
I do. For the public, would you explain to us what you did? Or
Yeah, it's several pages, so I
that's what I was asking, maybe,
won't have every word.
because as we all know, in provisional ballot, there's only one party observer or per candidate observer, so potentially you can have a bunch of this, but probably not.
First off, this process is going to change because there's going to be a provisional ballot cure process coming in the future, but that doesn't apply to this election. So when that arrives, then some of the timings and processing things will have to change again. But I figured it would be easier to change a process we had written down than to change a process that we didn't. So I'm sorry, sir.
No.
Okay. So essentially, this process begins on election night where we inventory the provisional ballots. We inventory those, so as previously mentioned, so we can hand them over to the registrar staff. The reason we do this is that we have up to 6 different reasons for provisional ballots, 7 different reasons numbers, but only 1, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7 are used. Don't ask me what happened to 2. And reason number 1 is same-day registration, which is consistently about 85% of our ballots. But the same-day registration ballots to be considered, the registrar's office has to enter those into computer system, the statewide computer system, and make sure that those voters actually live here, that they haven't voted somewhere else, they didn't do a same-day registration somewhere else at an earlier time, et cetera. So all those factors need to be looked at before we can even consider the ballot. So it's got to be processed for those. And that's 85% of them. And we're also on a tight time frame because the registrar's office historically has had until the close of business on Friday to get all that information into the state system. And if you've got 100 provisional ballots, that's easy. If you've got 1,800, that's some work. So getting this in the registrar's hands quickly is important. The second largest number of provisional ballots we have would be the reason for provisional ballots, where someone has returned a ballot, an absentee ballot to the board, has been issued an absentee ballot and didn't have it to return, but wants to vote. And so they've showed up in the polling place, either they lost their ballot or they made paper airplanes out of it with their grandchildren. I don't know. They want to vote. They're entitled to vote. People in the polling place don't know if they've mailed in a provisional ballot or not, so they vote provisionally at the polling place. And that's a reason for provisional ballot. And it comes to us, and of course, we don't know if they've mailed one in either until the deadline for a mailed in ballot has passed, which had been noon on Friday and is now moving to 5 o'clock on Friday. Yeah. So we won't know until after we've gotten all the mail in, and someone might, after we get all the mail in on Friday, whether or not those ballots have arrived. And the registrar's office needs to check between what has arrived in the mail and what hasn't arrived in the mail before we can decide those. So in our 2 largest cases of ballot, and that's maybe 13 or 13.5% of what's left. So there's 98.5% of our provisional ballots are covered by these 2 reasons. And all of them are processing by the registrar's office before the electoral board can adjudicate the ballot, which just makes sense to get this material in the registrar's hands as quickly as possible. And then once the registrar has gone through that, the rest of this process is what to do after that. The registrar will, in the case of the reason for ballots, these folks were already registered to vote, so we know they're registered to vote. We don't have to worry about those things. In the case of the same day registrations, we need to get feedback from the registrar is this person now registered to vote in Albemarle? Because sometimes we get same day registrations where they have not registered to vote in Albemarle. Did they register in the proper polling place? Because if you don't register in the right polling place, we can't give you the right ballot. So the rest of this documents what we do to process those ballots in as expeditious a fashion as we can. It's kind of the long and short of it. Okay. So that said, if this is a template, then I propose we keep the same process. And any changes as we find along the way that we need to find.
We could pass it without having read it ourselves.
That's why I did send it out in advance.
I move we.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And of course, since it will be the board working on this, if we need to amend something, we're all present, we can amend it. So it'll be during the provisional ballot meeting. And as I said, we will undoubtedly make changes to this as we determine what the new process is going to be with the provisional ballot. Sure. There are a lot of unknowns there. Speaking of unknowns, have we had any, this is off agenda, but I don't want to forget it again. Have we had any feedback from the state on the felon question yet?
Yes, they sent some documentation late last week. I haven't gotten all the way through it. But in essence, the way that works is we don't deny any felons. We put them in fairness. And then if the state goes through them, and then if they are on a particular, if they have committed a particular
What are the common law felonies?
then they cannot be registered. And if they haven't, then they can be.
So the state will move them out of one hopper into your.
They'll remove them. They'll remove them from the incomplete hopper and leave ones that are registered.
So it's not the inactive, it's incomplete, it's a different complete.
It's not the same thing.
It's the state's time frame for getting it done.
You know, I'm not sure they're getting what done they're doing it now.
Right.
It's happening now. So, but you're running across possible felons all the time. Yeah. So that's happening. So,
Minutes. Straighten me out. You put them in the incomplete hopper.
yes.
The ones that are okay stay in the incomplete hopper, and the ones that are not okay are removed from the incomplete hopper.
That's what I've seen. Is that what you've seen? That's what I've seen.
How do you know
There's only one in there now. And
How do you
we
know
have several in there.
when they looked at it? How do you know when they looked at what's in the incomplete hopper?
When they're gone. It's like there were several in there. Now there's only one in there, so we don't look at them.
I think the question Jim's asking is how do these folks end up getting on the voter
Right.
rolls?
Oh, I see. You know, I need to read after that a little bit more from last week's guidance. That part I'm not quite sure about. So, but in the meantime, we don't deny anybody. But the state does.
Okay.
Well, that seems like something we need to just understand a little bit better. I mean, I know it's a new process, but
Okay. I can.
I'm not expecting a lot of provisional voting.
right,
And by that extension, same day registration, but we will have some.
right.
So this is an educational item that we'll have to take up for the chiefs and assistant chiefs. Checking the felony box doesn't necessarily mean you're done, go home.
That's correct.
So
We would always ask them to call in. Always.
beyond that, I'd say just have them fill in the form and indicate what their felony was, maybe, or I don't know, something.
Because we did have at least one person who had a felony conviction. She voted provisional, but she should have voted on mine.
The same day registration portion of the provisional envelope asks as one of the questions, have you been convicted of a felony? And then goes on, has this felony been, I don't know the exact words, but has it been expunged from your record? And usually if you answer yes to the felony question and not yes to the next one, then you know your same day registration can't proceed. But I don't want anyone in the field discouraging a voter because we don't have enough knowledge at this point to make that assessment. So just make sure that all of our chiefs are aware of that. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, question to the registrar, if I may.
Mhm.
Has elect provided a change for the poll pads? With the felony question.
Why do you think this would be on the poll?
Well, I'm
pad?
just asking because of the incomplete, complete, I'm,
Oh, is there a new status that we
is
would
there a
see?
new status on the poll pad?
No, there isn't. This is only dealing strictly with registrations. And also I'm a little at loose ends about it because the process has changed twice since it came out.
Yeah.
So the latest that came out was Thursday before the.
And I would expect it to continue to change
Yes, it
because
is.
the elect has dragged its feet on moving on O'Bannon versus King. They've got to do something sooner rather than later, before the whole thing might become moot in November when we vote on the question again. So, or it might change anyway. So that was the end of the new business. Let's go back to our meeting minutes. Copies of those now. Jim, did you want to make a motion? Happy to share these around if it.
Yeah, I am still baffled by the fact that in my notes, I clearly said that we approved 6 new officers. I only had data on 5, and I talked to Richard and he said we only had 5. I did not know why I were twice written down 6. I was wondering if perhaps we had somebody from the previous meeting that we held in advance. Anybody remember that?
You're not getting out of being the secretary just because you say you don't like your minutes. Yeah, nice try. So,
Okay.
Jim, would you like to make a motion about these
I
minutes?
move approval of minutes for the June 11th and for July 2nd.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, minutes are unanimously approved by acclaim even.
Okay, and what needs to happen here is these need to go in the minutes book. Well, as going online. And so I need to give these signed to someone in your minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other items we need to take up?
I have another item. This kind of piggybacks on the discussion of how we're dealing with the felon issue and the fact that it's confusing. The state sent out, I believe yesterday or the day before, instructions concerning candidates'
Oh, yeah.
statements of economic interests. And they started off by saying, these will no longer be filed with registrars or with elect. They will now be filed with some ethics council. And then it went on to say all the things that the registrar needed to do to process these. It was the most confusing thing I ever seen. I don't know what they want there, but you're supposed to do something with them, but you're not supposed to do anything with them, but you're supposed to do something with them.
We have to
What
establish,
the heck?
we have to establish an account, make sure we notify candidates. It's a lot of, it's a good list.
Why do they start off saying that they don't know file with registrars? And if they don't file with
They don't
registrars,
end up in the registrar's file. The registrar sends them somewhere else
Yes, we do.
after processing.
Different database.
okay, did you look at that?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And did it look totally confusing to you?
It was confusing to me. I had to read it a couple of times. I'm just not sure I still get all complaints. They will.
Do you have someone as a staff person particularly been delegated to deal with candidate filing?
Yeah, it's a shared responsibility.
Okay. Who, can I ask who those people would be?
Yes, it's Andrea and me. Till we get the process down.
Any other items?
I'd like to just give a few numbers about from early voting.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. So the initial mailing for, I'm gonna do them by party. So for the Democratic Party primary was 4,872. The initial mailing for the Republican primary was 946. For a total of 5818 ballots that went out in the initial mailing. So be aware that these numbers are changing and they have changed and they're changed pretty much every day. So as ballots go in, as we get ballots in.
You get new requests for absentee.
Absolutely.
ballots, yes.
Yeah, we're getting new requests and we're approving ballots until they're going out. Any question?
I'm sorry, I was trying to write the numbers as you said them.
I'm sorry.
Could you?
Sure, sure. For the Democratic primary, it's 4872. This was the initial mailing. And for the Republican primary, it was 946 for 5818 total.
Thank you.
So the return ballots by mail, this is as of yesterday, is the Democratic Party, 1,315. For the Republican Party, 152. For a total of 1467. Now, that's as of yesterday. That doesn't count undeliverables, which I'll get to in a moment. So those are returned live ballots. Voted in person, as of yesterday, Democratic Party 434. Republican Party 49. We're thinking of 483. Ballots needing a cure, 50 for the Democratic Party, 2 for the Republican Party. Ballots sent by email for the Democratic Party, 68. Oh, I'm sorry.
Your Democrats are 50
50.
and Republicans 2. Okay.
Ballots sent by email for the Democratic Party, 68. Republican Party, 12. And undeliverable ballots. Those are ballots that come back to us unopened because the person has moved. And so it just comes back.
Postal Service couldn't deliver them.
Correct. So for the Democratic Party, it's 76. The Republican Party, 27. And there was one unknown. How can it be unknown? Sometimes people don't use our return ballots, our return envelopes. They use their own envelope. So we don't look in the envelope. We just know that we've got it, make sure the envelope is there, but I have no idea which party it was from. So that's why there's one unknown. That's it.
You guys are struggling to keep up with the volume.
Yes, it's it's hard. So
You're gonna have CAP starting when?
Wednesday. 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, 9 o'clock. Coming at 8.
9 o'clock next
9
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Next.
Wednesday. And more than likely Friday also. I'll send out a notice.
Any other items? The next regular meeting of the Electoral Board is scheduled for August 13th, which is in the middle of the canvass period. Hopefully we'll be done before then. As previously noted, though, we'll have another board meeting on August 4th at night, and then we'll start the provisional ballot and canvass meetings August 5th at noon. Were there any other questions?
We sometimes, when we're getting into the month of an election, add in an extra meeting in case there are things to be done. Do we not see right now any need for adding a meeting before?
We slid one in, last week, just for that sort of purpose. I think if we have to have another one, we'll notice it and call it.
Okay.
Okay. Then if there is no other business for this session, then I thank everyone for coming. We'll step out. We're going to go into a closed meeting. And A lot of things to do in the closed meeting. The folks on the call, if y'all would drop off, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Was it confirmed? We got back a reimbursement from the state.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do have that number. Sorry. I have, just write it down. Sorry. 1 second. Oh, $70,596.67.
Before we take a break, let me make the closed meeting motion. I move that the Albemarle County Electoral Board convene a closed meeting pursuant to section 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia under subsection 1 to discuss and consider any applications of prospective candidates as officers of election, to discuss the performance of officers of election, and to discuss and consider the assignment of officers of election to polling places, and to discuss the annual performance review process of the registrar as required under 24.2-109.1, and also under section 24.2-625.1B to discuss security with regard to specific local electoral procedures. All those in
security?
Yes, we are. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? So
Oh,
we're in closed session, but I'm willing to entertain
can I just mention something that's kind of unrelated, but since you mentioned the word security, that issue that I brought up about the 100-foot rule and people coming in with trucks with gun racks. I didn't go back and read the actual statute, but in every reference to it, it talks about carrying a gun. So I think that's the out, is the person is not carrying a gun if it's on a gun rack in the back of the.
There is some, I'll pull the language, my computer just logged me off because I haven't been active. But there is language in the statute about having it in your personal property, which would constitute your vehicle. But I'll get the exact language.
Yeah,
I'm not quoting it correctly since I don't have it right in front of me, but there's something about having it in your car.
And in a roadside stop, there are all kinds of rules about things that are in your trunk and
Right.
secured versus things that are within your grasp.
Was the saying it's not allowed if it's in your.
No, if it's in your car,
It is allowed.
it's allowed because it's not coming into the precinct, but for the person that lives in Norfolk and is going to be, carrying it because they don't have a car, that would not then be allowed to have it.
All right, I'm going to pause. Coming out of closed session, and I'm going to move that the electoral board certify by a recorded vote that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion authorizing the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting. Let's do it by the numbers. Aye.
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 So we are all unanimously approving that. And with that done, I move the approval of one officer of election for a 3-year appointment and 5 officers of election for 1-year appointments. 5 new officers of election for 1-year.
I second.
All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, hearing none.
I move the approval of the voting system security plan.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Hearing no opposition. And should we move the approval of the registrar? Okay. So, any other business?
No.
Then let's
We adjourn.
take ourselves as adjourned at 11:08 by my clock.